When a billionaire playboy humiliates a hotel janitor at a luxury fashion gala, daring her to fit into a $900,000 red dress or stay invisible forever, he has no idea he's just awakened the woman who'll destroy his empire. Maya Lopez was once a rising fashion design prodigy before tragedy forced her into cleaning jobs. But that night of public ridicule ignites something fierce inside her. With the help of a former assistant he ruined, a retired boxer, and his ex-driver, Maya trains her body, rebuilds her spirit, and uncovers a trail of corruption hidden behind his fame. The chandelier lights spilled across marble floors as laughter echoed through the Aurora Fashion Soiree in downtown Los Angeles. The city's richest strutted in diamonds and ego, a theater of power disguised as elegance. At the center of it all stood Khaled Rahman, 43, an oil investor turned celebrity philanthropist whose smile was as expensive as his watch. He raised a glass of champagne and pointed toward the crimson gown displayed under a glass case, the crown jewel of the night. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. If anyone here can fit into that dress, he announced, his voice dripping arrogance, I'll marry her on the spot. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Laughter bounced off the mirrored walls. But Khaled wasn't looking for volunteers. His gaze landed on a woman frozen near the back, clutching a cleaning cart. Maya Lopez, 28, wore a gray uniform that swallowed her frame. The crowd parted slightly, curious, as Khaled's smirk widened. How about you, sweetheart? He said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Want to give it a try? The laughter grew crueler this time. Someone whispered, she's the janitor, and a few guests gasped between giggles. Maya's throat tightened. Her eyes stung, but she forced them dry. Years of working invisible shifts in luxury hotels had taught her one thing: never let them see you break. The red dress gleamed under the lights, a masterpiece by French designer Laurent Devereux, valued at $900,000. Size 2. Created for a body carved by privilege. Maya turned, pushing her cart toward the exit. Every laugh behind her felt like a knife. Wait. Khaled called, his tone half mocking, half amused. You've got 30 days. If you can fit into that dress, I'll keep my promise. Applause followed her out. When the service door shut behind her, the sound died, replaced by the hum of vending machines and the faint scent of bleach. For a moment, Maya stood still. Then her chest heaved. Tears fell, heavy, bitter, unstoppable. But as they rolled down her cheeks, something else surfaced beneath the humiliation. Heat. Determination. Defiance. That night, sitting at the small kitchen table of her one-bedroom apartment in East LA, Maya stared at her reflection in the dark window. She wasn't thinking about the dress. She was thinking about the man who believed she was beneath it. 6 years ago, Maya had been a top fashion design student at the California Institute of Design. A full-ride scholar. A future star. Until her mother suffered a massive stroke, and hospital bills swallowed every dream she had. She dropped out, took cleaning jobs, and survived one day at a time. Her talent faded quietly into survival. But not anymore. She opened her old laptop, its screen cracked at the corner, and typed, Khaled Rahman scandal. Hundreds of glossy articles appeared, charity galas, yacht parties, investments. But buried deeper were whispers, lawsuits settled quietly, complaints from former employees, NDAs and rumors that never made headlines. She began to collect names, screenshots, links. One stood out, Sarah Nader, a woman who'd once worked as Khaled's executive assistant and had sued him 3 years earlier before disappearing from the public eye. Maya hesitated, then found an anonymous email linked to an old blog and sent a message. 2 hours later, her phone buzzed. You're the woman from the video, a calm voice said. It's everywhere. What video? Your humiliation, Sarah replied. 3 million views in 12 hours. But people are on your side. Maya's stomach twisted. The whole world had seen it. Why did you reach out to me? Sarah asked. Because I think he's done this before, Maya said. and I want to stop him." There was silence, then Sarah said, "Meet me tomorrow. We'll talk." The next morning, Maya walked into a small gym run by Rita Alvarez, a retired boxer with muscles like armor and eyes like mercy. The place smelled of sweat and grit. "You here to lose weight?" Rita asked. "No," Maya said. "To win a bet." Rita chuckled. "What's the prize?" "Self-respect." Something in Rita's expression softened. "Then we'll work for it." From that day, Maya's life ran on discipline. Gym at dawn, work all day, care for her recovering mother at night, then research until exhaustion. Every rep, every drop of sweat wasn't about the dress, it was about reclaiming the part of her that believed she mattered. When she met Sarah in a quiet cafe, the woman looked composed but haunted. "Khaled destroys people who threaten him," Sarah warned. "He has dirt on everyone. But his driver, Jamir, might know where he keeps it." "Why would he help us?" Maya asked. "Because Khaled ruined his daughter's life." 3 days later, Maya found Jamir, a weary man in his 50s who spoke like someone carrying too much truth. "My daughter worked for him," he said, voice trembling. When she rejected his advances, he fired her and told people she stole money. "She hasn't left her room in months." Maya clenched her fists. "I want to bring him down. Will you help me?" Jamir nodded slowly. "He keeps everything, documents, recordings, in a safe in his lawyer's apartment downtown. I know where the key is." The plan began to take shape. Maya would train. Sarah would rally other victims. Jamir would retrieve the evidence. And Khaled? He'd walk into his own trap. 29 days after the humiliation, Maya barely recognized herself. She wasn't slimmer, she was stronger. Her reflection no longer looked ashamed. "You're ready," Rita said after their last workout. Maya smiled. This was never about a dress. That night, Jamir delivered the flash drive. "Everything's here," he said. "Emails, bank records, recordings." Maya's hands shook as she plugged it into her laptop. Bribes. Threats. Payoffs. Khaled's empire wasn't built on oil, it was built on silence. The Aurora Fashion Soiree, charity gala, the closing event, glittered brighter than ever. Khaled was there, laughing too loudly, surrounded by cameras. He didn't notice Maya at first. She entered in a simple black gown she'd sewn herself. Confident. Composed. A woman who no longer needed permission to exist. When Khaled finally saw her, his face stiffened. "You," he muttered. 30 days, she said, smiling faintly. "Remember." A hush fell over the ballroom. Phones lifted. Eyes turned. "I came to try on the dress," she said. "Or would you prefer I do it here, in front of everyone?" Nervous laughter flickered through the crowd. Khaled forced a grin. "Come on, it was a joke." Maya interrupted. "Was this a joke too?" She lifted her phone and played a recording, Khaled's voice ordering someone to discredit a woman who refused him. Screens around the room flickered, hijacked by a video presentation. Emails appeared, bribes, harassment settlements, bank transfers. Guests gasped. A reporter shouted questions. Khaled's PR manager bolted toward the exit. Maya stepped closer, her tone steady. "You wanted me to fit into your world. Instead, I made you fit into mine, the truth." At that moment, Sarah and 3 other women appeared beside her. Faces of courage. "Who are they?" Khaled demanded. "The women you erased," Maya said. "And we're not invisible anymore." Security guards approached, but before they could act, 2 detectives entered the ballroom holding a warrant. "You need to come with us." Cameras flashed like lightning. Khaled froze, cornered, exposed. The same crowd that once cheered his cruelty now filmed his downfall. Maya watched as he was led away. She didn't smile. She just exhaled, the kind of breath that feels like freedom. The story exploded online. #TheDressPromise trended for weeks. The video of Maya's confrontation hit 20 million views. Khaled Rahman's empire collapsed overnight. 3 companies cut ties. Lawsuits reopened. Prosecutors launched investigations. 2 months later, Maya sat by her mother's side in their apartment. Her mother, recovering slowly, turned up the TV. "Look, baby," she said softly. "They're talking about you again." On the screen, news anchors reported Khaled's sentencing, 5 years in prison for bribery, harassment, and witness tampering. A $40 million fund established for his victims. Maya didn't cheer. She just whispered, "It's over." But it wasn't really an ending. It was a beginning. Her story caught the attention of fashion houses that had once rejected her. The California Institute of Design offered her a full scholarship to finish her degree. Rita's gym became her second home, now crowded with women inspired by her journey. Sarah opened an organization supporting workplace abuse survivors. Jameer's daughter started therapy and began smiling again. And the red dress? It was auctioned for charity. $1.5 million raised for education grants for underprivileged women. Maya didn't bid. She didn't need to. She had already created her own line, 12 original designs, each representing a woman's story of survival. On graduation day, Maya crossed the stage in a soft coral dress of her own design. Her mother stood in the front row, clapping through tears. Rita, Sarah, and Jameer were there too, a family born from pain, now bound by pride. When the dean invited Maya to speak, she stepped up to the microphone. "Months ago," she began, "someone said I'd never fit into a dress. What they didn't know was that I'd spent years trying to fit into spaces that weren't made for me. Jobs that dismissed me, people who saw me as invisible expectations that kept me small." She smiled. "That dress was never the problem. The problem was believing I had to shrink to deserve respect." Applause thundered through the hall. But Maya lifted her hand, silencing the crowd. "So this isn't a story about revenge," she said. "It's about rebuilding. Because the best way to silence those who humiliate you isn't by destroying them, it's by becoming everything they said you couldn't be." Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the LA skyline, Maya walked home past the old hotel where it all began. The red carpet was gone. The lights dimmed. Just another building now. She stopped, looking up at its towering windows. For a moment, she remembered the laughter, the shame, the pain. Then she smiled, not out of pride, but peace. She whispered, "Thank you," turned, and walked away. Because some places exist only to teach you who you never want to be again. And once you've learned, you don't have to return. If you've ever been underestimated, mocked, or made to feel small, remember Maya's story. Your worth isn't measured by who laughs at you, but by who you become after the laughter fades. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you embody. And when the world tries to make you fit in, build a new world, one where everyone fits. If this story moved you, if you believe in second chances, in rising after being laughed at, then don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of dreamers, fighters, and believers. Because every week, we tell stories that remind you, you are never invisible.